I'm going to be talking really fast in this video because I don't want my camera to die on me. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Frances, and as you can see by the title, today we are talking about Season 1 of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Now, I will start by saying that I have seen all 4 seasons that are currently out of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and I am obsessed with this show. If you like reality TV, you're gonna like this show. I like the cattiness, the pettiness, the drama. I like it all. So we're going to be talking about Season 1, and then I'll do Season 2, Season 3 in a different episode. But I'm going to try really hard to keep my opinions as objective as if I did, my dog, as if I did watch it for the first time. So I'm just going to pull up here on Hulu, and I'm just going to like read the descriptions of each episode and tell you what I remember, what I'm thinking of each character at the time, and all those good things. Now, I will say that there is a lot of drama going on with that whole scene and everything with Taylor, Frankie, Paul, and as well with Dakota. There's like a lot of legal stuff going on right now, so I am curious to see how Season 5 is gonna work out, or if there even is gonna be a Season 5. Rhea. Or if there is also, because I know they're gonna do like an Orange County version of the show now. So I'm curious to see like where we're going to see these characters continue on. I don't know if it's a Season 5 or if it's the OC Orange County version, but we're going to talk about what we know, and then maybe I'll do a little more research on everything that's going on with the cast like currently, and maybe we can talk about that, because I just need someone to talk about this. I need friends to talk about this with, because no one I know watches this show, and I just need someone to relate to. Okay. So let's go into it. So Season 1, Episode 1 starts off with Taylor, Frankie, Paul, kind of like they did a whole little introduction about her, how she was a Mormon, how she was a swinger, and all those things. So Taylor is basically like the star here. She's the queen bee, if you will. She is the one who started Mom Talk. She is the one who exposed everybody for swinging, and that's how that's how this show even became a thing. So we start off with her, and then we actually meet a lot of women. I think there's 8 women in total. So we have Taylor, we have Demi, we have Whitney, we have Macy, Michaela, Layla, and Jen. And I think that's everyone. So they're like separated into two groups. So there is the saints and there's the sinners. So the saints are Whitney, Macy, Michaela, and Jen. I think Michaela's in there. I believe so. And the sinners are Layla, Demi, Taylor, and Jesse. So 4 and 4. They're split evenly. And it's their religion is mentioned quite a bit, and like we kind of learn a little bit more about Mormonism. I am not Mormon, so I'm not comfortable talking about my opinions on Mormonism, like how the culture is. I don't know anything about that. I'm not even going to pretend to. But it's interesting to learn more about it. All I know really is that they don't drink soda and they don't drink tea, but they don't drink coffee and they don't drink tea, but they're allowed to drink like a lot of soda. I guess that's fine. Let me take this off so you don't keep ringing your bell. Come here. Ugh, you want to hang out with me while I talk? That's fine. Sorry, let me reposition. So she'll be here. She's on my lap. She's on my lap with me. Okay, anyways. So we meet the 8 women, and they're the 8 women of Mom Talk. Pretty much all of them deny ever being part of Taylor's swinging scandal. The only one who ever kind of admits to it later on is Miranda, and we don't see. Okay, we're gonna see if this video can even happen because it keeps cutting off the camera. I might have to buy a new one. Anyway, so I'm gonna repeat what I last said. So the only one that kind of does talk about the swinging stuff is Miranda, and we don't really see her until Season 2 anyway, so we're not even gonna talk about her. So the first episode is Whitney's coming back from Hawaii. I guess she escaped to Hawaii after the whole swinging scandal, and there was also rumors about her husband being on both Reddit and being on both Tinder and having like a corn addiction. You guys know what I'm talking about. So we have that. We learn a little bit about the women, their relationships, how they kind of intertwine together, where things are kind of like breaking a little bit. Whitney in particular is very much painted the villain in this season, because she is a little bit more judgmental and disapproving of Taylor and her actions. All the women had issues with Taylor doing the whole swinging thing, like they were all upset at her. But Whitney in particular feels that Taylor is probably not the best person who should be the leader of Mom Talk, and because of how she carries herself, and and now this is a brand, right? Like she wants brand deals, she wants people to like want to work with them, and she doesn't feel that Taylor is the best face for Mom Talk. And to be honest, I'm not, like, this is something that everybody, like, gave her hate for. I don't think that's a bad idea, because everything that was going on with Taylor, especially at the time, I don't think that's anything crazy. Like, she's just concerned about her business, her income, her livelihood. Like, they all make a lot of money doing this, so I can completely understand why she's very opposed or like more adverse to having someone who really doesn't present themselves very well in public, or is like very reckless in public, to be the leader or the face of her brand. Like, it's all their brand, but like, you know, her own personal brand as well. So that's pretty much what happens in episode 1. We also, Whitney does also confess that she is, kind of like tells the girls the truth about what happened with her husband Connor, and that he actually was on Tinder, and that he was struggling with these addictions with watching things online like porn and all those things. So she was having a really big moment there, and freaking Taylor like jumps in right after she like revealed these things, and it was like a big deal to her. Like, she gathered everyone for this announcement, and then Taylor right after kind of like jumps in, and she's like, oh, by the way, everyone, I'm also pregnant, and I think I'm actually like either had a miscarriage, or I'm currently going through a miscarriage, because it was an ectopic pregnancy. And Whitney is mad about it. Like, she's so upset that she took her thunder, which, I mean, I kind of get, but at the same time, like, it's not that serious. But she was mad. She was not having it. So she had issues with Taylor on that part. We also get introduced to Dakota, which is Taylor's, you know, future baby daddy. He is a problem, as you can see in the future series, but they're kind of newer here. They're kind of fresher. The girls still haven't met him, if I'm not mistaken. I remember hearing Macy saying that she wants to meet him and she wants to see what Taylor sees in him. But yeah, even Taylor confesses that they've already had like a rocky start, because he's already started to lie, and she's having like trust issues with him. And the episode 1 actually stops with Taylor and Frankie Paul being arrested for domestic violence between her and Dakota. And that's pretty much all we hear about it for the entirety of the 4 seasons. Like, we only see that one scene, and then it's literally like mentioned a little bit in the second episode, and then we never really hear from it again, which I think is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So that's the end of season 1. Season 2, let me see, season 2, episode 2. Okay, so like, it's kind of hard to remember what everybody's going through, but basically Whitney is expressing once again that she is that she doesn't think Taylor should be the leader, and she kind of wants, like, she's giving energy that she really wants to take over and be the leader of Mom Talk. She thinks that she has what it takes to really lead the group into the right direction, so they can make the most out of these opportunities that they're getting. Taylor is actually pregnant again. I think she's like 8 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant at this point with Dakota's baby. So she got pregnant again after she was out of prison or jail, wherever you want to call it. And she's hosting a baby shower, and everyone is going to support her and be there for her, because she is nervous about her relationship and where it stands at the moment without bringing another life into this world. Everyone shows up except for Whitney, and when Layla, I think she expressed it to Layla, asked her, hey, why aren't you going? She literally said, well, I don't feel like we're friends, so I don't feel like I really should, like, it's more of an intimate thing for close family and friends, and I don't feel like I'm Taylor's close friend, so I'm not gonna go. Layla tells her that's kind of ridiculous, and that she thinks she should go, because Mom Talk is supposed to be about uplifting women and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, everyone goes. Whitney stands her ground and she does not go, and of course, Taylor is befuddled by this, because she never knew that Whitney felt that way about her. She always thought, she was under the impression that they were friends. And so she was like, all right, I guess she's not coming. Tells her mom. Her mom calls Whitney and is like, hey, what's going on with you and Taylor? Like, why aren't you here? And Whitney deadass is like, I think that's a conversation that me and Taylor need to have. Like, what the hell? What the hell? She doesn't say that. But, so that's pretty much like the big thing that happened in episode 2. Episode 3, a birthday trip goes wild. I think this is Macy's birthday, if I'm not mistaken. So they go on a little, like, getaway for Macy's birthday, and that's when they bring out the infamous truth box. I think it was Demi who brought it out. She brings out the infamous truth box, and, you know, everyone starts saying things that they think about each other, and Demi ends up being the one who gets, like, the grunt of it. Like, things are just coming out, like Taylor found out that Demi called her white trash. Whitney's exposing people. Jen is, like, confronting people. Like, it's a huge mess. And it was great TV, to be honest with you. It really was. What else? Oh, I skipped something. So, before the birthday trip happened, Jen and her husband, Zach, who is just graduated, I think, medical school, or he just got accepted into medical school, they threw a party for their family and friends. Mainly Zach's family was present, and she was, and everyone was there, and it's supposed to be like, you know, a conservative Mormon party, and they go hot tubbing after, like, at the end of the party, and Jessie and her husband, like, start trying to pass a flask around with vodka, and they're trying to drink, but, you know, Mormons aren't supposed to drink, and Zach's family is supposed to be, like, more Mormon and more, like, religious, and so Jen is really nervous about it because she doesn't want to make a bad impression on her in-laws. Zach is nervous about it because he just doesn't like that they're drinking in his house when you're not supposed to be drinking as a Mormon. And so they're like, there's a little bit of tension brewing there because Jesse and Jordan are like, well, we're grown adults, we should be able to drink if we want to, but they're like, well, it's my house, and you shouldn't be disrespecting me, my family, or my husband's family in this way. Big mess. Also, something about Jen that I thought was kind of weird when it comes to, like, kind of comparing her living situation with how she grew up and how Zach grew up is, like, I don't know, it gave a little bit like she was kind of ashamed that she grew up, like, not on the richer side, because Zach's family is wealthy. His father's a surgeon, his grandfather's a surgeon, so, you know, they have money. And she was saying that, you know, the biggest, like, to explain their economic situation differently is that Zach's, her mother was a cleaning lady or a janitor in the same hospital that Zach's family was a surgeon. So she was kind of making that comparison. And I don't know, it kind of gave that she was a little bit ashamed, or like she maybe didn't feel like she was good enough to be a part of Zach's family, which I thought was sad, but also just weird. Like, you should be more proud of your roots, you know? Anyway, especially because she's Hispanic. We're strong people, you know? The whole truth box and the party thing happens. Oh, also Taylor has like Taylor has a chance to confront Whitney about why she's feeling the way she's feeling, because Whitney is very honest and open with telling everybody else, like, how she feels about Taylor, but when it comes to telling Taylor, she definitely shies away from it. She can tell her, be like, hey, I just don't feel like we're friends, but she's definitely much more frank with the other women than she is with Taylor. So everyone thinks that that's kind of fake and not really good about that, but then we have the Layla's divorce party. So I was not interested in Layla in season 1. I thought she was very, not mousy, but she wasn't really, like, vocal. She was kind of just, like, following what Jesse and Demi were doing. And I think that kind of translated in season 2 a little bit as well. I can't remember. But I wasn't a big fan of Layla. Macy is my favorite so far. I really like Macy. I do like Whitney at this point too. Like, I know that she's supposed to be like the villain and kind of, but I also just think that Whitney is honest and she does say what she feels, but even though she doesn't always tell the right people how she feels. But I didn't really hate Whitney throughout any of the seasons for this show that we're supposed to hate her, right? Whitney kind of starts to separate herself a little bit from Mom Talk because she does feel like she's being attacked. She does feel like people are, like, ganging up on her, and she doesn't feel like people are hearing her, and like she thinks that they're going against her in a way, or like telling her that she's being ridiculous. I don't know what the case is, but basically Whitney is just not feeling like she belongs in the group. She actually leaves the group chat, and that creates its own little drama. Like, the girls think it's petty and maybe she shouldn't have done that, but then they end up doing things, and then Whitney gets, like, butthurt that she's not invited to them, even though she did leave the group chat. So I think this was during Macy's trip, is that Demi and Whitney kind of had a falling out, which Demi is very hard on her in that, and we're going to talk about Demi more in season 2 because she's much more relevant in season 2, but Demi was a fan favorite in this season. Everybody loves her, and Whitney is certainly, like, the villain, like I said. So they kind of had, like, a head-to-head where Whitney was literally, like, in a closet crying with everyone else comforting her, and it was Demi who was kind of like antagonizing her, and then we had Jessie there, and oh, I forgot who else was standing, I think Layla or something, and she was just like, they were just going at it at each other. And I think Demi was definitely a lot harder on Whitney because she wasn't really, like, responding to too much. She was kind of just crying, taking it in, but Demi really was attacking, to the point where Macy had to get involved and say, bro, you're being a B word, like, you need to calm down. Like, she's literally crying, like, raising your voice, saying all these things isn't helping anything, so she needs to back the hell up. But yeah, I think from seeing all the seasons now and then seeing that particular scene, I think we definitely see Demi's true colors in that scene of season 1 that we see throughout more of the season. So we're gonna get into that too later in a different episode. So now all the women are, again, they're kind of talking about who's going to be the leader, because now people are thinking that Demi is actually going to be Queen Bee. So Whitney wants to be Queen Bee, but she is just not in it with the other women. The other women don't trust her. She doesn't trust them. She's in the outs, essentially, at this point. And Taylor, she's pregnant, trying to figure out things with Dakota, and I think it was Jessie who said that, you know what, like, she's kind of just been, like, it was fallen into her lap being the leader of Mom Talk because she started it, but she really isn't that concerned about being the leader, and she's not that concerned about Mom Talk at the moment. But Demi is the one who isn't afraid to, like, say the hard things to women and kind of like vocalize what's going on and what's wrong with the group and say the hard things. And so Jessie feels like Demi should be the Mom Talk leader. At this point, they all go to Vegas. All the women go to Vegas, and Jessie, I think it was, who planned this like surprise trip for all the women to go to Chippendales. So Chippendales is basically like male strippers, if you guys don't know what it is. It's supposed to be like a fun time. It's like a woman's show, and it's just a bunch of male strippers. So obviously the crowd is full of women, mainly women. So they all go, and it's supposed to be this fun, lighthearted thing, and 3 of the women start getting issues with their men, husbands, men, whatever. So Taylor, Michaela, and Jen. Jen is who we're going to be talking about here now. So Taylor, Michaela, and Jen all are just like, you know what, this really isn't what I signed up for. I didn't really want to come to something like this. Or mainly Taylor and Jen's husbands or boyfriend, husband and boyfriend, are very like, oh my god, my girls at Chippendales. Like, they're freaking out about it. They don't think they should be there. Mind you, Zach and Dakota are also at Vegas because they don't want to be far from their wives, I guess. I don't know, it's weird. This is kind of controlling, but whatever. I can understand Dakota going because Taylor is like super pregnant at this point, and so his logic is basically like, if she does go into labor, at least I'm close by. But you know, maybe that's just one of the reasons. Can't say. Okay, so basically, so those 3 women go home, go back to the Airbnb, and the other ones have the time of their lives at Sin City with the strippers, and they love their time. They have a great time. Basically, so what's going on at the house is Jen is super stressed because Jen and Zach are going back and forth. Zach is pretty much a piece of shit for talking to her the way that he talked to her. Like, those were, like, the things that he was saying to her were honestly, like, divorce words, like saying to Jen, you have no morals, you have no values, like, I want a divorce, like all these horrible things to her. And just like, apparently he was getting like threads and threads and threads and threads, or he was sending threads of messages to her, and they were just going back and forth to the point where she actually ends up leaving the Airbnb at 2 o'clock in the morning. That way she can go and talk to her husband because she wants to save her marriage. The other women are very disgusted by this. They're very appalled, and they think that she should not be tolerating this, that she is a very good person, she's a good Mormon, and that she doesn't deserve to be treated or talked to in the way that her husband is treating her and talking to her. And so they're trying to like kind of give her those pep talks and be like, hey, you know, like, if you're in a bad spot, it's okay to leave. So that's pretty much what happens with Jen and Zach. Everybody hates Zach. Like, the audience all universally just do not like this man. Like, he is just the POC of the POS of the entire show of how he treated Jen, because he was being so extra and it was just a lot. Even though, and I also think that he probably acted like that because he just doesn't like the fact that his wife is now the provider for the family, because yeah, he's going to medical school, but if she's the one who's taking care of everything right now, to the point where while they were doing the whole Chippendales thing and all that stuff, while he was in Chippendales, Jen literally gave him, I think, like $2,000 to gamble with, and he gambled it away. Anyways, not the important part there. Hi, mummies. So another thing that was really relevant in this season is that we kind of see the toxicity of Taylor and Dakota's relationship pretty early on. So in this season, Macy has this thing called Sinner Sunday where people like do confessions, and someone confessed that they slept with Dakota not too long ago. And so she was kind of going back and forth about whether or not she should tell Taylor and ruin, like, you know, like tell her before she delivers the baby or tell her after, because it's not really a good time to like really drop a bomb on her when they're about to have a baby. So she's really nervous about Taylor's well-being and the baby's well-being at this point, and how like she's gonna, like, she knows that once Taylor knows about this information, it's going to completely destroy her, and she doesn't want to be responsible for that. But she also wants to tell her friend what she knows, that way she knows what she's getting herself into, because at this point Dakota is acting like he wants to be with Taylor and how he is this amazing guy, and that he's pretty much like building himself up in Taylor's eyes. And so Macy's having a hard time with this secret. Macy doesn't like Dakota, by the way. with this secret, but she just doesn't want to ruin her friend's happiness. Of course, she does end up telling her. Becomes this big thing with Macy and Dakota. Dakota basically accuses Macy of trying to ruin her relationship, his relationship, even though it's his choices that led to these consequences. After Macy and Dakota kind of have their discussion, we go into seeing a discussion with Jen and also with her husband, and kind of like how they're trying to move forward. So irritating. I am gonna have to rush the last part of this because this camera is spazzing out on me. But basically, after they have their conversation, we see Jen and Zach have a conversation about how they're trying to move forward into their relationship. Whitney shares with her family that she's pregnant by putting a pregnancy test, like the pregnancy test that she peed on, in a cake, and then she thought everyone was gonna eat it. But everyone's excited that her and her family are excited that she's pregnant. And then we go into Macy's business, opening up her business, Baby Mama, and she's expecting Whitney to be there, and all the other women are there, and they're basically like, you know what, if Whitney doesn't even show up for Macy, who is her best friend, then we're all just going to unfollow her at the same time. And that's essentially what ends up happening. Whitney does not show up for Macy in this situation, and to support her, Macy is very hurt by it, and the other women all unfollow her at the same time, kind of showing a front that Whitney is now out of mom talk. Then we go right into, I believe, now we go into Michaela's birthday party, which is at a skating ring. And everyone shows up. They're all trying to like just prove that they can all be together with no drama, no issues, just enjoy this time with Michaela. And Whitney and her husband show up. And everyone's really confused as to why it is they showed up. Like, they're like, you know, you didn't show up for us. You've left the group chat. Like, you're basically out. Michaela is not happy that Whitney is here. And Whitney definitely feels that she is not welcome, and I believe she actually ends up leaving. Like, she has some conversations with Macy, and basically like, hey, like, you didn't show up for me when I needed you. I forgot what Whitney's response to that was at this point in time. But after that debacle, after after Michaela's birthday, we go straight into Taylor and Dakota, and they kind of show clips of her going into labor, her giving birth, her boy coming into the world, thank God, you know, so cute, and kind of just like their whole birthing experience. That's all very nice, beautiful, love that. And then we basically end the season with Jen and Zach, again, seeing if they're even going to stay in Utah, or if they're going to move somewhere else for Zach to go to medical school in, or if, you know, maybe they should stay because Jen is the one making all the money, and Jen is the one having all these opportunities, and her opportunities are in Utah. And then we also go into Macy, who is actually going to call Jenna, who is the person who Dakota supposedly slept with, and she's going to give her a call and I guess see if maybe Taylor wants to talk to her. I don't know what the point of that call was. I think it's explained in season 2, but that was the cliffhanger of season 1, is that Macy is making that phone call to Jenna to kind of talk to her more about her relationship with Dakota and how recent it was. But that is pretty much the end of season 1. Demi was a favorite. Whitney was not a favorite. Yeah, it's a mess. These girls kind of go through a lot in a really short period of time, but I am going to leave you guys now because this camera, I think I'm going to have like 10 clips because this camera keeps getting out of it, even though I bought a whole new SD card. There's nothing. Okay, it literally just did it again. So I'm going to leave you guys here. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.